Okay, welcome to 10.2, video 1 for IM1. The topic is all about using properties of parallel lines, and we got 4 boxes to dive into. Hope everyone's doing good today. Okay, so box number 1 is just a bunch of theorems, so I highly recommend that you get the notes and follow along with me, okay? So all of the theorems that we're going to go through. So box number 1 here, the first theorem we're going to talk about is something called the corresponding angles theorem. So what does it say? Well, here's what it says. Let me zoom in for you. It says if 2 parallel lines are cut by a transversal. So right away, I have line M and line N, and I know that they are parallel because they have these little red triangles here to show me that M and N are parallel to each other. That's how I know. And they're cut by a transversal T, which is this guy right here. So if 2 parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then pairs of corresponding angles are congruent. So what does that mean? That means that if angle 1 is in the top left of my line M, angle 2 is in the top left of my line N. So therefore, I know, because of the corresponding angles theorem, that angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. Okay, similarly, angle 3 and 4 will be congruent. So angle 3 is congruent to angle 4. Similarly, angle 7 and angle 8 will be congruent. So angle 7 is congruent to angle 8. Oops, sorry. Okay. And then lastly, angle 5 and angle 6 will also be congruent because they are corresponding. So angle 5 is now congruent to angle 6. That's our first corresponding angles theorem. Okay. The next theorem is called the alternate interior angles theorem. So here's what it says. First, again, right? If 2 parallel lines are cut by a transversal, so again, I have 2 parallel lines right here, M and N, and I know that they're parallel because of the little triangles here. And my transversal is line T. So same picture, right? Then pairs of alternate interior angles are congruent. So what that means is, like angle 1, for example, and angle 2, those are alternate and interior, so therefore they're going to be congruent. So angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. And similarly, if I named this angle 3 and this angle 4, then I would also know that angle 3 is congruent to angle 4. And that's because of the alternate interior angles theorem. That's the second theorem. Okay. The third theorem is the alternate exterior angles theorem. And again, let's go through that one real quick to show you what we're talking about. So it says if 2 parallel lines are cut by a transversal, so same setup, right? I have M and N. They are congruent because of my little red triangles, and they're cut by a transversal. It says then pairs of alternate exterior angles are congruent. So angle 1 and angle 2 are alternate exterior angles. They're alternate because they're on opposite side of the transversal, and they're on the outside of line M and N. So this angle and this angle are alternate exterior, and the theorem says angle 1 is congruent to angle 2. Similarly, if I named this angle 3 over here and this angle 4, then I could also say angle 3 is congruent to angle 4 because those two are also alternate exterior angles. Okay, that's our third theorem. Last one is something called the consecutive interior angles theorem. And again, same setup here, right? If 2 lines are cut by a transversal, so again, here's my same picture, right? Then pairs of consecutive interior angles are supplementary. So consecutive interior angles. So consecutive means next to, one right after the other. Interior means on the inside of our parallel lines. So angle 1 and angle 2 are consecutive interior, and the theorem says the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 has to be supplementary, means 180 degrees. Okay, so these 2 angles here collectively make 180 degrees. That is our consecutive interior angles theorem. Okay, that's everything you need for box 1. Lots of theorems there. Okay, box number 2 says the measure of 3 of the numbered angles are 120 degrees. identify the angles, and explain your reasoning. Okay, so this angle is 120 degrees. Therefore, angle 5 is 125 degrees, or is 120 degrees. So angle 5, because it is a corresponding angles. Right? So because of the corresponding. Okay. Angle 4 is also 120 degrees. So angle 4 because of vertical angles. So vertical angles are equal. So 120 and 4 are going to be equal. Okay? And lastly, the last one we have is 120, and we have 8. Those are alternate exterior angles. So angle 8, because of alternate exterior angles. So those are our three numbered angles that measure up to 120. Okay, box number 3 says using properties of parallel lines, says find the value of x, okay? So the first thing that I know is that this angle here, angle 4, and angle x plus 5 are consecutive interior angles, all right? So therefore, I know that the following is true. So in blue, I would say angle 4 plus x plus 5 has to equal 180 degrees, okay? So therefore, angle 4 plus x plus 5 is 180. Now I also know that because 115 and 4 are vertical angles, then I know that they are congruent. So therefore, the measure of angle 4 is now worth 115. So 115 plus nx plus 5 has got to be 180. So therefore, I can see that 115 and 5 make 120, plus x equals 180. So x is going to go ahead and equal 60, all right? So if x is worth 60, I can plug that right back in here and see that that angle is worth 65 degrees if I was supposed to find that, but just said find the value of x. So x would have to be 60 in this case. Okay, lastly, in box 4, last one of this lesson, using properties of parallel lines, all right? So we can see that find the value of x. So I can already tell that 136, right? And the measure of angle 1 have to add up to be a linear pair. So the measure of angle 1 plus 136 degrees has to add up to be a linear pair of 180 degrees, okay? And I also know that angle 1 and this angle down here, they are alternate exterior angles. So because they are alternate exterior angles, I can substitute those and make them congruent. So now I know that 7x plus 9 plus 136 has to be 180, okay? So that tells me that I'm going to have 7x plus 145 is equal to 180. So coming over here, right, I would have 7x is equal to 35, because 100, if I subtract 145 from both sides, and then I would divide both sides by 7, so x would have to be a value of 5. So 35 divided by 7 is 5. So therefore, find the value of x, I found it to be a value of 5. So in these types of problems on your skill checks, you're going to have to use all these theorems that we come up with to figure out the different values of x that you're working with. Okay, that's everything for box 4. And if you need any help whatsoever, please make sure that you ask your learning partner or you come up to the desk and ask me. Great. Have a good one.